Pretty much every single person in life wants to grow in some way, shape, or form, whether it's personally, professionally, spiritually. You want to grow, you want to make more money, you want to have more freedom, you want to learn more about yourself. And I want to give you an insight into how you can really get that growth and how you can grow at the quickest rate possible, but also get the most growth. And that will come from you becoming consciously aware of your unconscious programs. And I'm going to allow you to understand how to do that through speaking about my story and how I came from being so controlled by anxiety, like I had no control over it at all. Like I actually could not stop myself from being sick with anxiety and stress, to now building a coaching business where I help other people, my clients, unlock their mind, become consciously aware of their unconscious programs, rewrite those unconscious programs to align with what they consciously desire in life. And the business also makes me multiple 5 figures in a month. So to even say that out loud from where I was at is close to unbelievable. But I know that the journey that I've been on, if you're watching this, is going to help you if you've dealt with any kind of level of stress. But not only that, if you have any unconscious programs in your mind, subconscious programs that you've not become consciously aware of, this video is going to allow you to understand how to become consciously aware of them, what happens in life when you're not consciously aware of them, how it controls you, and it's going to give you the awareness to take back control of your mind and of the reality you experience and essentially the results that you get. And it's going to come from you understanding how I went from completely no control, which is probably not where you're at right now, and it might be, to having now complete control, like genuinely complete control over my mind. I have zero part of me that controls me. I'm so aware, so conscious, and essentially I teach this on a daily basis. It's like I can't not be the guy that's fully conscious and fully in control, ultimately because this is what I do. But I want to start it off by speaking about when I did have this uncontrollable anxiety, and I'll explain a little bit about how this was formed in my subconscious mind and what happened in my childhood for this to happen, because it's going to relate to you guys and whoever's watching this. I'm sure it will find the right people. Videos like this are just raw and unfiltered, and I've not really packaged this to sell to anyone. I just want to share this information because I think it's really important for people to know. So ultimately, going back to when this really started was when I went to college, and I got into college, I got accepted. I was going to the induction day, and when I woke up on the day of the induction day, I felt so anxious, so sick with anxiety. I was being sick into the toilet before I even went to get the train to go. I just felt so anxious and so nervous. Bearing in mind, I had been accepted into the college. It's not as if I had to go and pass a test or do anything like that. So I'm so sick with anxiety and literally physically being sick, so I'm getting changed. I'm trying to almost pretend that I didn't feel anxious. I'm also almost trying to mask it in a sense. But as I'm walking to the train station, literally every 10, 15 steps, I'm being sick, and I'm being sick on the ground, and there's no food coming up. It's just acid from my stomach from being so anxious, and it was just this response, this physiological response that was happening inside my body. And like, understand and reinforce as you're listening to this little story, consciously I knew there was no danger. Consciously I knew there was nothing was going to kill me. Like I wanted to be a PT, I wanted to go and do these things, I wanted to go to this college course, I'd already been accepted. I knew these things consciously, but it didn't stop me having this reaction where I was being sick with anxiety. So you can already start to understand that there was something unconscious, there was something subconscious below my conscious awareness that was controlling the way I was reacting, the way I was responding. So long story, kind of not even long story short, but me going to college, same thing. Same anxiety, same being sick. And this went on for months until I got some medication for my stomach, because I then ended up getting this thing where my stomach produced too much acid from the anxiety, from the stress. And ultimately, but again, I want to make you aware that I wasn't in control of this. I did not have control over these things that were happening. As time goes on, obviously I became a PT, these different things. But as I became aware of human behaviour, the different parts of your mind, the conscious, the subconscious, and what actually happens, I've understood now, today, that there was a subconscious part of me that did not feel safe with the unknown. It actually felt really, really unsafe with the unknown. You need to understand that the subconscious mind is irrational. It's not logical. So logically, I'm going to a college classroom, there's no danger. But because the subconscious mind is irrational, the subconscious mind almost was signaling to my body that I was in danger, that my life was literally in danger. And what it was coming from was a fear of the unknown. And a lot of people have this. A lot of people have the fear of the unknown as part of their kind of subconscious resistance, like making a decision in your business, fear of the unknown. You don't know exactly how it's going to play out, so you've got resistance towards doing it. For example, potentially it is breaking up with a girlfriend. You've got the fear of the unknown. Being single, you don't know what it's going to be like, or making a decision, as I said, with your business, or going on this trip, or making a decision, or whatever it is, right? But anything in life that creates a scenario where you can't predict it, your subconscious mind almost will react as if there is danger because it's not familiar, it's new. And what's not familiar, what's new, you can't predict it. And what you can't predict, you can't control. And the subconscious mind doesn't like things that it can't control because then it's not safe. And what's not safe will cause your body and your subconscious mind, your nervous system, to feel like it's under threat. It will put you into this, what's called a sympathetic nervous state. And that's what was happening. I was being sick, I had anxiety, I had stress, I was reacting in this way. But how this was formed in my childhood was, and there was various times where this happened, but what I formed was a security wound through the lens of Chase Hughes and the human behaviour stuff that I've been learning and have learned up until this point. And I really like Chase Hughes' lens and things because it makes a lot of sense. But I developed this security wound, and a lot of people have this security wound, and this is when you almost relied on someone in your life when you were younger, and that person let you down. They didn't show up for you. And when this happens in life, then what happens is life isn't predictable. Okay, you can't predict if that person, and the specific scenario for me, it was my dad. So my dad, I'd been waiting for him to pick us up, and then he wouldn't pick us up. And as a child, I mean, your dad just doesn't want to see you, he's betraying you, he's leaving, he doesn't want to see you. And then when you've got an emotional mum tied to that, that's, oh, your dad's this, your dad's that, it just adds negative emotions to the situation. And when there's this negative emotional intensity added to a situation like that, it creates trauma, it creates this wound inside of you. And as an adult, what you do is, without even knowing it, you avoid feeling like you did as a child. So what was happening literally as an adult, I mean, I was 18. Could you say I was an adult? Yeah, 18, still a teenager. But I was in an adult form, I was going to college, I was learning this course. But I had this wound inside of me where anything I couldn't predict wasn't safe. Anything I couldn't predict was dangerous. So when I was going to this, think about it, when I was going to this college classroom, I didn't know what was going to happen. There was an unknown there that I couldn't predict. But because I couldn't predict it as a child and that didn't lead to safety, what I have as an unconscious program as an adult is predictability equals safety. So anything that I can't predict doesn't feel safe. So I'll have these responses, these nerves or this anxiety around things that I can't predict. Obviously today, have I removed those things from my subconscious? Yes. I've removed those associations because this is the work that I do. But when I was in college, I had complete anxiety. I had this anxiety that I couldn't control. And there was a turning point where I really did have a big turning point in my head. And I went a wee walk up with my little dog Cruz, little French bulldog, up to the back of where I stay. And this is where I'm sitting up here right now, with beautiful location, farms all around, woodlands. And I was just walking through the woods and I had my headphones on and I was listening to a podcast by Andrew Huberman, right? And the podcast by Andrew Huberman, it spoke about tools for managing stress and anxiety. And this was in 2021. And essentially this podcast and episode that he made allowed me to understand and see the anxiety consciously, through this conscious lens, because I was consciously listening to the podcast, that the anxiety was it was a physiological response. It was something that was happening in my body that I wasn't controlling. Makes sense, because I was being sick without even being able to control it. So this physiological response, this unconscious response that was happening below my conscious awareness, regardless if I thought consciously I was in danger, it was happening physiologically. There was chemicals being released, making me feel anxious, making me feel nervous. And as soon as I was able to consciously notice that unconscious process from a conscious standpoint, this is a physiological response, as soon as I made that unconscious conscious, I was able to detach. Literally from that moment on, I seen the anxiety instead of just being consumed by it. From that moment on, the conscious part of me noticed that it was happening instead of just being consumed. From that moment on, I was never sick again. I was never just, it was almost like involuntary. It was like I couldn't control it. I was never sick again. I was never like that uncontrollable sick way again, because as soon as the nerves arise, as soon as that physiological response went on, that was unconscious, as soon as it happened, I was now consciously aware of it. So I could see it. And the analogy that I used was, it was almost like when I woke up in the morning, this unconscious process was taking place. And I'll use this analogy where anxiety was like someone behind me that I couldn't see throwing this towel over my head. And without me even knowing it, I was then consumed by anxiety, being sick, couldn't control it, stressed, anxiety, like I've told you. But as soon as I became conscious of it, it's almost like I could turn around and I could see that person in the analogy about to throw the towel, and I could take a step back and it wouldn't consume me because I made the unconscious conscious. Why is this important, and why is this something that you can start to use to understand yourself on a deeper level? Well, think about it. Any resistance that you have, the anxiety that I had about going to college, I wasn't born with that. I was not born with it. I didn't come into this world as a 4-year-old thinking, I'm anxious, or it's nerve-wracking to go to a college classroom. I didn't have that in my mind. But what happened? I had an experience. I went through life and I had an experience where my dad wouldn't show up, and that, as a child, affected me. Mixing that with the emotional intensity that my mum was stressed out and she herself wasn't in the best place mentally, it added a lot of negative intensity to emotions and intensity to that situation. So when I went through that as a child, it created a subconscious association. That experience and that negative emotion, it created a subconscious association. And that subconscious association, like I've spoken about, it's irrational. So it just means that anything that is aligned with that experience I went through is tied to that emotion. So what was the experience? I didn't know if my dad was coming to get me or not. It was unknown, it was unpredictable. It created this wound inside of me where if I'm in a position where I can't predict life and I can't predict what's going to happen, I'm not safe. If I'm not safe, I'm in danger, that's what happens. So as a child, I sat as a young boy, and then this is where recently I've been having such a deep feeling of love and empathy. A deep feeling of love and empathy for people and everyone. Because as a child, I then made this decision, as a little innocent child, I made the decision that if I can't predict things, it's not safe, right? If I don't know what's going to happen, I just don't want to do it. I made this decision, I made this unconscious decision that that's now how I need to operate to stay safe. And it's really sad when you deep it, because that little child version of me, all I was doing there was trying to protect myself. I was creating this survival strategy to survive in life, to adapt, to stay alive, to survive, to avoid danger. And that was stored in my subconscious, and that's why when I went to college, I was responding in that way. Even though consciously I knew there was no danger, I was just having this response. So I decided unconsciously as a child that thing meant that. Not being able to predict it was unsafe, and I made this decision. And any resistance you have as an adult, building your business, breaking up with a girl, whatever it is, because I've had a few deep conversations with clients recently about breaking up with their girlfriends or doing different things like that and making decisions that are they can cause stress and anxiety. And any resistance comes from the younger version of you unconsciously deciding that thing was associated with a negative emotion. You made that decision. And that decision that you made, you then formed this belief. You formed a belief that if I'm, for example, in my scenario, if I'm in a position where I can't predict it, then that means that I am not safe. So this belief was formed that I can't be comfortable if I can't predict it. And then what happens? Your brain filters reality through this belief. And what it does is it generalizes, it deletes, and it distorts. And I'm going to make another video deeper on this with the whiteboard to make it a little bit more applicable, but this applies to what we're talking about. So this belief that I formed that anything that I can't predict is unsafe, that then starts to generalize, reality, and what does that look like? Any situation that I can't predict is unsafe. That's the generalization. Going to college. I can remember even going to meet boys for a workout. Boys that I networked with on Instagram, I'd go and meet them for a workout, and that morning I'd be being sick with anxiety. I'd be smoking weed to try and feel less anxious about just going to do a workout, but it's because it was unknown. So that belief that I formed, it starts to generalize. So everything that I can't predict is unsafe. That means everything that I can't predict makes me feel anxious. And then it starts to delete. So what does that mean? Well, it starts to delete any scenario where it was actually safe. So my brain in that scenario, it didn't think in any way that the college was really good, that it's going to lead me to a career that I love, that it's going to actually be safe and it's actually a good thing to go to, that I'm going to meet people that I'm going to connect with and like. Like it didn't allow me to see reality in that way. It deleted every positive outcome that was a potential in that scenario. So generalized, it deleted, and it starts to distort it, right? And the distortion is, again, it starts to look for evidence and distort reality to keep that belief alive. So when I was, for example, going to college, what would be happening was I'd be thinking, well, I don't know anyone and I'm this and I'm that, and I would start to distort reality and start to mold it in a way, without even knowing it, start to mold it in a way that would back up this belief that it wasn't safe. So I would, again, the distortion would take place by me completely looking for evidence and molding the scenario of going to college in a way that would support the belief. And that's what happens. But I didn't choose to make this decision. I didn't choose to decide that this was a belief and this is what I believed about life. That was an unconscious decision made by my child self, my younger self. So notice that any resistance, to make this relevant to you, to make this really, really aware, any resistance that you have towards anything in life comes from a subconscious association that was formed through an experience that you went through or an observation that you had in life. Or through, for example, your mum and your dad telling you things and you believe in them because they're your parents and you're designed as a child to believe what your parents say, because if you don't believe what your parents say, they're the ones that look after you. Essentially, as you developed as a human, your primitive brain, your primal brain is developed to listen to your parents so you stay alive. So you're just going to absorb everything they say. So you form these beliefs based on the experiences you go through, things that you observe, and things that you're told, and things that you believe to be true, based on what you've been told. So any resistance that you have comes from that. It's not actually resistance. So this video, it gives you an insight into how I've came from where I was and where I am now, and what happened in my little story and why would that even existed. But it gives you an understanding of any resistance that you have today comes from something that happened in your past. It's not actually resistance. There's nothing stopping you making £1 million a month. There's nothing stopping you taking that next step. There's nothing stopping you moving forward. That resistance is unconscious. It's a program that's been designed to keep you safe. But you don't need to be safe, right? So Kyle, if you're saying this, how do I then make sure, or how do I get rid of this? How do I make this unconscious thing conscious? Well, you watch a video like this that allows you to start asking yourself better questions. The only way for you to remove this thing is to remove the emotion and the trigger, the association that's stored in your subconscious mind. The best way to do this, the most effective way, is to use hypnosis. Okay, and this is something that I'm personally training to be the best in the world at, and I'm currently doing a little bit of it with clients. And this hypnosis, the reason why it's so powerful is because when you get into a very, very relaxed state using the hypnosis, based on the state that you're in, there's no resistance, so suggestibility goes up. So what can happen is this subconscious association that's formed, it can actually be replaced by a new association. So how this process would look is you would get into a relaxed state and you would re-experience that experience that you had, but with a positive emotion attached to it. And you would remove the negative association and your subconscious mind would form a new positive association with it. And I'm going to give you a couple of examples to make this very clear. So I'm going to start off with the example where I done hypnosis with my mentor that I used to work with one-to-one. He's a hypnotherapist. Trying to make this light not shine on my face, so I've got like a ginger beard and half my face is lit up. But essentially, the scenario, what happened with my mentor, right? So I had this anxiety, like I've just explained to you, and one of the main things that stuck in my mind was that first time that I went to college. And that first time I went to college, I can remember going in and I was sitting around the table, and I was sitting at the head of the table, and the lecturer said, we're going to go around everyone, and you're going to say your name and say why you're doing the course and what you want to get out of it. Anxiety, such bad anxiety, fucking hell, hands were sweating, face went red, felt like I was going to be sick again. I actually think I might have left the room and came back in. I don't think I did. I think I sat and bared with it, but it was fucking horrendous. So I had this really, really anxious emotion attached to sitting around the table and feeling anxious. And what I noticed, and this was in 2020, maybe 2019 actually, when I had this really bad anxiety at college. I think it was 2019 actually it was, because when I left school. But then in 2024, right, I had just made 12k in a month, one-to-one PT. And I went to this mastermind with a consultancy group. And I was sitting in this mastermind as a 24, I was 24 later that month. I think it was maybe the month I turned 24. I just made 12k in a month. So consciously, I'm the guy that's just made 12k in a month. Consciously, I'm the guy with confidence. Consciously, I'm the guy PTing people, getting this person at this. I'm coaching people and I'm smashing it, right? But then at the start of the networking event, I'm sitting at this table, and the person that was running the event said, right, we're going to go around, you're going to say your name, you're going to say why you're here. Anxiety, so like sweaty hands. The same response, right? Notice what this is though. It's the same unconscious response. So coming up again when I'm 24 and I've just made 12k in a month. Feeling like the guy consciously, but then this scenario kicks up again. So I went through that, I had the event cool. The response I gave was like pretty inauthentic. It was based on like this nervous state that I get into, this sympathetic state that I get into. But then I said to my mentor, I need to remove that. I know you do hypnosis, I need to remove this from my mind. I cannot have that reaction ever again. Fuck that. I'm planning to be one of the best coaches in the world, make millions of pounds. I cannot sit down at a table and get this response that I know is unconscious. I know it's something to do with the experiences I've been through in my life. And I know it's nothing to do with what I actually believe about myself consciously. So I need you to help me remove this subconscious program, this trigger that I have. So he said, cool. And I went to his house and we done it. We done the hypnosis. And there was a process, and I would quickly brief the process of what happened. So essentially, I was explaining to him what happened. He was asking me questions like, why do I want to get rid of it? What benefit I'm going to get from getting rid of it? These kind of things. And that's what I do with my clients, is that we speak about the things that we're going to get rid of and the new identity they want to install in their subconscious mind through the kind of hypnosis work that I'm doing, hypnotic work that I'm doing with them currently. To give like the frame of why they're doing it and what they're going to get out of it, because you need to know why you're doing this. You can't just aimlessly go into hypnosis and you're not going to get the best result if that happens, right? So he asked me these questions, and I said I want to remove the trigger of feeling like that when I get around a table. Like, why am I getting anxious responses when I'm around the table? It doesn't make sense. I want to get rid of that. So essentially, cool. He asked me the questions, but then he got me into a really relaxed state, take a deep breath, and he got me to reimagine being in college, being around that table, right, where he said my name. And before I was going to tell you this. So before I done the hypnosis, I explained to him what happened. I explained to him the thing in college. And when I explained to him the scenario in college, I started to get this response. I was starting to sweat and get a red face when I was explaining it to him. It was mad. It was like just sitting in his house, nice big lovely house, sitting comfortable with my mentor that I love and I've got a good connection with. I started to feel anxious as I was telling him. I started sweating. I couldn't stop laughing. It was obviously nervous laughing as I explained what I was telling him that kept triggering me. So we done the hypnosis, got into a relaxed state. I started to imagine this scenario in college, and he got me to imagine it, and he got me to speed it up. So it would like I would experience it in my mind, and it would be really quick, and then he would get me to experience it with funny music over it. This is maybe not the exact pattern that we done, but he got me to experience it with funny music in the background, and then he got me to drain all the colour out of it and make it black and white. And then he got me to zoom it out, see it on a little screen. He got me to zoom it out to the size of a stamp. And he got me to keep zooming it out to the point where I couldn't even see it. And my understanding of what was happening when he was doing this was he was almost distorting, and he was kind of like disassociating that negative experience and that negative association that I had subconsciously with this. And then he got me to re-experience it, zoom it back out, re-experience it with a positive emotion, a positive anchor. I put my fist on the table and I feel confident this time when I experience it. And what I understand now is, when I was in that relaxed state, by re-experiencing that, I was replacing that negative association with a new positive association. So this new positive association meant that if I was in that environment, if I was in that place again, if I had that same experience again, I wouldn't then trigger the negative emotion and therefore that negative program that made me feel anxious. The subconscious reaction, this physiological response where I got sweaty and felt anxious. Literally a week later, straight after, I said, I'm going to explain to you the college scenario and just see if I have a response. I explained it, no response. And literally a week later, I went to a networking event. And when I went to that networking event, I sat at a table, same thing again. But this time, no response. This time, no negative emotion. This time, no like internal anxiety, nothing, genuinely nothing. I noticed a little part of me that thought, do you feel like I noticed it? But it was the conscious mind observing that old program that was really, really faint, and the association was gone. And I didn't have any anxiousness at all. I literally sat at that event, and every single person at the table was sitting with their mouth open like this, because I was just so confident, and I was just telling them so much wisdom and helping them understand their own mind and asking them questions and being the person at the table that was just taking control. Crazy, right? A week later after this. So that's how I knew hypnosis is the most powerful thing. Because I was with my mentor for 10 minutes doing that. That session was 10 minutes long. I sat and spoke to him for 5 hours. Huge, massive conversation. It was amazing. But within 10 minutes, I removed that. So that's how I started to understand, right, okay, that, like, to actually get rid of this, like, I could tell you, like, you could journal, you could do all these things, but hypnosis will remove it in minutes, especially when you get into the really deep state of hypnosis. And I'll tell you another example quickly of a client recently that I've been working with. So I'm not a qualified hypnotist yet, hypnotherapist yet, I'm going to be authentic, but I really understand the concepts. I've been teaching the mind for 3.5 years now. Before that, I was coaching people for 2 years before that, so I've been working one-to-one with people for 5.5 years, understanding human behaviour. Before that, I've been in a household since I've been 4 with a mum that had depression, anxiety. I've been like this social worker since I've been 4, so I've got a brain that's been designed to read people before I even get into coaching. So I've had pretty much 22 years of living and analysing behaviour, 5.5 years of working with clients one-to-one, 3.5 years of teaching the mind, and understanding unconscious, conscious, okay? And then for the last 18 months, I've been reading books on hypnosis and this work after doing the work with my mentor. And recently I'm qualifying to be a hypnotherapist. I'm going to be one of the best in the world, 100%. I'm going to be. This is the mission that I'm on, because you can change people's minds like that. So the work that I'm doing recently with one of my clients, Daniel, for example, right? Long story short, Daniel has never expressed himself fully since I met him. I met him about 6 months ago. It's only since I've been getting into this work where I've been thinking, how can I help him remove this filter that he has over himself? And it was unconscious. He didn't consciously think, I'm going to speak in a way that wasn't as expressive, that wasn't as confident, that was more suppressed. But the only way I can explain it is almost like he had this soft limiter on his voice. He just didn't speak as freely as I knew he could. And recently we done a hypnosis session where I got him into a relaxed state. I got him to really install confidence, peace, and accept new suggestions into his mind in this relaxed state. And we're installing and allowing him to emotionally experience what it's like to be the version of him that has the confidence, that has the life that he wants. Super powerful work. But during that, I actually prompted him to notice any parts of his life before where he wasn't able to be himself. And long story short, as I want to just keep it short, he, when he was younger, expressed himself freely and he was shot down. He was made feel like he couldn't do it, and this might relate to you. He was made feel like he couldn't be himself. So again, like what happened to me, he made a subconscious association that being himself wasn't safe. That's what he made it as a subconscious association in his mind. And when we're doing this deep work and we're getting into the hypnosis, the trance state, he re-experienced those younger memories with a really positive emotion. And he said when he came out of it, he said, Kel, that was amazing. I had tears in my eyes, Jenny. That was really emotional. It was really powerful. And I relived those experiences, but in a really strong sense of peace. And I really felt like I let go of a lot of things in that session there. 4 days later, right, he was busy the next day when we had our next call. We had another call because I'd done that with him. We had another call. 4 days later, I jumped on another quick call with him because we missed it because life happens and he was busy. And he was speaking differently. He was actually speaking differently. Like his voice had changed. I said, are you meaning to do that? And he said, what do you mean? I said, bro, you're literally speaking differently. You're expressing your words. Like the start of your word and the end of your word sounds like a different version of you. It's like unbelievable. I actually can't really believe that this is happening. And I said, have you been trying to do that? And he said, no, but I've just consciously noticed I'm more expressive, I'm louder, I'm more confident. And what's been happening as he's been doing that, so the track that we done, the session that we done, I make a track out of that and I give it to clients and then they repeat that morning time before they start the day, and then at night time. And this hypnosis track is designed to install the new identity and help them heal anything that they've had before that was negative. And that's what's been happening. He said, Kyle, I've just consciously noticed that I'm just, without even trying, being more confident, being more expressive, being more myself. And what's actually been happening is he's been reprogramming his subconscious mind and installing this new identity. So without even trying, he's been acting differently. He's been thinking differently. He's been speaking differently, right? He's been behaving differently. But notice what's happened. It's his subconscious that's been creating that without him even trying. Because your subconscious mind, I want you to think about, like, imagine you had an iceberg and you have the tip of the iceberg that's like this size, and then you've got the body of the iceberg that's fucking huge. That's the subconscious mind, and the wee tiny bit at the top's your conscious mind. So you can consciously want the things that you want. You can consciously think, I'm not anxious about going to college, and then your subconscious, if it's aligned with any negativity or any kind of programs that don't agree with that, your body will respond in that way. You'll have this resistance in your life. And that's what was happening with Daniel. But since he's reprogrammed his subconscious mind, he's more confident without even trying. No resistance to being himself. No doubt. He actually can't think negatively. It's borderline impossible for him to think negatively now. He says, Kyle, I just noticed this thing comes up, and because he's now conscious of this unconscious program, it doesn't control him. So that's truly the only way to really become in control of this, is to make the unconscious conscious. And you can do that with work that you do with me. You can simply do it by asking the right questions, watching videos like this. But the way that you remove that emotion, that negative trigger, that association, like I've done with my mentor, like I've done with Daniel, is by getting into an emotional relaxed state and re-experiencing that with a positive association attached to it, with a positive emotion. Hypnosis is the quickest way to do that. So hopefully this video has been really beneficial. Hopefully it's given you an insight into how, if your unconscious isn't conscious, it can control you, and how you can start to make the unconscious conscious and start to take more control. Because if you don't, it will control you, even if you don't consciously agree with it. So hopefully this has been valuable, and I really hope this is aligned with people that have been watching. I hope this is in some way giving you an insight into how you can go from being anxious as fuck to building a business that's making you multiple 5 figures in a month, where you're actually the one helping people unlock their mind when at some point you weren't in control. Because it really is such a drastic change and difference, it really is. And I know this video's been just very raw, off the cuff, just speaking to you with no filter. But at least one of these on YouTube are going to go out a week. I think it's important. I think it's important for people to have videos like this to look at and soak in and connect to, that is just raw. Because ultimately I wasn't in a position of control, and now I am. And if you're not in a position where you're being sick and you can't control your anxiety, then think about how easy it's going to be for you to gain control when you do the right things. So yeah, I'm not even going to do any CTAs. There's always a link in my bio if you want to work with me. Tap it if you want, but I hope this video has given you some powerful insight, given you some powerful awareness, and helped in any way it could. Because what I do this coaching for, why I'm on this mission to help millions of people become more aware, is out of love. Like, the main thing that drives me is love. I want so many people to become aware and in control. And it's not selfish, it's not through an ego thing, it's because you actually are unlimited. You didn't choose to be who you are today. You didn't choose for that to be the case. You didn't choose to think that it was unsafe to be yourself. You didn't choose that the unknown made you feel fucking anxious. You didn't choose for that. Same way I didn't choose for that. So fuck accepting that as your reality. I don't want that for anyone. Fuck that. Because if I accepted that as my reality, I wouldn't be where I am today. So I appreciate you so much. I genuinely do appreciate you so much watching this video. And until the next one.